Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be talking all about English today with our expert.
Hi, everyone.
So today's deep dive is all about finding a workout partner, and we're going to be focusing on English for beginners.
That's right. We're going to be listening to a dialogue between two people, and it's a great way to learn some basic English conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we break down the dialogue, let's actually hear it first. So pretend I'm Jessica and you are Mark.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hey Mark, do you still work out regularly?
Yes. I go to the gym 3 times a week. Why do you ask?
I'm looking for a workout partner to stay motivated.
That's great. Having a partner really helps with commitment.
What's your usual workout routine?
I do cardio and weight training. We
Yeah.
can start with basic exercises.
Perfect. When can we start?
How about joining me this Wednesday? I can show you around the gym.
Okay, that was great. I think even beginners can understand a lot from that short conversation.
Exactly.
Um, so let's take a deep dive into some of the key words and phrases. So let's start with the first question. Do you still work out regularly? What does regularly mean?
Okay, so regularly means often or consistently. So Jessica is asking Mark if he works out often.
I see. So instead of saying, do you work out often, you can say, do you work out regularly? Both mean the same thing.
Exactly. And it sounds more natural to say it this way.
Okay, perfect. Now, Jessica says, I'm looking for a workout partner. What is a workout partner?
A workout partner is someone you exercise with, and it helps you stay motivated and, reach your fitness goals.
Yeah, so it's like having a friend who helps you stay on track with your workout.
Exactly. It's always more fun and easier to work out with a friend.
Now, I noticed Jessica says she wants a workout partner to stay motivated. What does motivated mean?
Motivated means having a reason and energy to do something. So Jessica wants a partner to help her stay excited about working out.
Yeah, and it's important to stay motivated when you're learning English, too,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Just like working out, learning a language takes effort and dedication, and having a partner can really, make it more fun and keep you going.
Great point. Now, in the dialogue, Mark also says that having a partner really helps with commitment. What does commitment mean in this context?
So commitment means making a promise to yourself or someone else to do something. It's about sticking to your goals even when it gets tough.
So having a workout partner helps you stay committed to your fitness goals.
Exactly. You're more likely to show up for a workout if you know someone is waiting for you.
That makes sense. And commitment is important in many areas of life, not just working out.
Absolutely. Whether it's learning a new language, pursuing a hobby, or achieving a professional goal, commitment is key to success.
So if you want to be successful, you need to be committed.
Right. And sometimes having a partner can help us stay more committed.
Okay, let's go back to the dialogue for a moment. Jessica asks Mark, what's your usual workout routine? What does usual mean here?
So usual means something you do regularly or habitually. So Jessica is asking Mark about his normal workout plan.
Okay, I see. So usual is similar to regular, right?
Yes, they're very similar. Usual emphasizes something that's typical or common for you, while regular means something that happens often.
Thanks for explaining that. Now, Mark says, I do cardio and weight training. What are those?
Cardio is short for cardiovascular exercise. It includes activities like running, swimming, or biking, which gets your heart rate up. Weight training involves using weights to build strength and muscle.
Oh, okay. So Mark does a combination of exercises for his fitness. He also says we can start with basic exercises. What are basic exercises?
Basic exercises are simple movements that are good for beginners. They help you build a foundation for more challenging workouts later.
That's great for people who are just starting to exercise.
Exactly. It's important to start slowly and gradually increase the intensity as you get stronger.
Okay, let's look at the last part of the dialogue. Mark says, how about joining me this Wednesday? What does how about mean in this sentence?
How about is a way of making a suggestion. It's a friendly way to ask someone if they would like to do something.
So it's similar to saying, would you like to?
Yes, it's just a more casual way of making a suggestion.
And what does it mean to join someone?
Join means to go with someone or participate in activity with them. So Mark is inviting Jessica to go to the gym with him.
He also says, I can show you around the gym. What does show someone around mean?
Show someone around means to give them a tour of a place and explain things to them.
Okay, that's a helpful phrase to know.
Absolutely. It's a great way to offer assistance when someone is new to a place or situation.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of vocabulary and phrases from the dialogue.
Yes, we have. And remember, repeating these words and phrases out loud will help you remember them better.
That's a great tip. It's also important to try using these words and phrases in your own conversations.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. And hey, if you like what you're hearing and want more helpful tips, make sure to like this episode and subscribe to the channel.
That's right. Now, before we move on, I want to point out something interesting about the structure of this dialogue.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going. Tell me more.
Well, notice how the conversation starts with a general question about working out. And then it smoothly transitions to a specific invitation to join Mark at the gym.
That's a great observation. Yeah, it's a very natural flow for a conversation like this.
Exactly. And it's something that English learners can learn from. You can start with a general question to kind of get the conversation going and then gradually move towards your main point.
That's a great takeaway. It's all about creating a comfortable and natural flow in the conversation. Yeah, I think it's a great example of how a simple conversation can be packed with useful language.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing how much we can learn from just a few lines of dialogue. I was thinking about the phrase workout partner. We talked about it in the context of going to the gym, but I feel like you can use this phrase in other situations too.
Right, absolutely. You can use workout partner for any activity where you exercise with someone else.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, well, you could say, I'm looking for a workout partner to train for a marathon with. Or, I need a workout partner who enjoys hiking.
Oh, that's a good one. I love hiking.
Me too. And you could even use it for activities like yoga or dancing.
So a workout partner can be used for any kind of exercise you do with someone else.
Exactly. It's a versatile phrase that can be adapted to many situations.
That's helpful to know.
Mhm.
Now, I also wanted to talk about the phrase stay motivated. We all know that staying motivated can be tough, especially when it comes to things like working out or learning a new language. Do you have any tips for staying motivated?
That's a great question. I think one of the best ways to stay motivated is to set realistic goals.
What do you mean by realistic goals?
I mean, goals that are challenging but achievable. Don't try to do too much too soon.
So start small and gradually work your way up.
Exactly. For example, if you're just starting to work out, don't aim to go to the gym every day. Maybe start with twice a week and then increase it as you get stronger.
That makes sense. It's like learning English. You wouldn't expect to become fluent overnight.
Right. It's about making gradual progress and celebrating those small victories along the way.
I like that. Celebrate the small victories. It's important to acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it may seem.
Absolutely. It keeps you motivated and reminds you that you're moving in the right direction.
Speaking of motivation, I remember Mark said that having a partner helps with commitment. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because having a partner creates a sense of accountability. You're more likely to stick to your goals if you know someone else is relying on you.
That's so true. It's like having a study buddy for English. You're less likely to skip a study session if you know your buddy is waiting for you.
Exactly. It's all about having that support system and someone to share the journey with.
Okay, let's go back to the dialogue for a moment. I want to focus on the phrase usual routine. It's a phrase we hear a lot in everyday conversation.
Yes, it is. Routine is a very common word in English.
Can you explain what routine means?
Of course. A routine is a regular way of doing things. It's a set of actions you do in a particular order, often at the same time each day or week.
So like a morning routine or a bedtime routine?
Exactly. Those are great examples.
And in the dialogue, Jessica asks Mark about his usual workout routine.
Yeah.
So she's basically asking him what exercises he does and how often he does them.
Yes, that's right.
I think it's interesting how we use the word routine for both positive and negative things.
That's true. Sometimes we say things like, I'm stuck in a rut, or I need to break out of my routine.
Right. So a routine can be both comforting and limiting, depending on how you view it.
I think it's all about finding a balance. It's good to have some structure in your life, but it's also important to be flexible and try new things.
I completely agree.
Now remember, if you're enjoying these insights and want to hear more, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. We've got lots more deep dives coming your way.
That's right. And we love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to leave a comment and let us know what you think.
Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that came up earlier. Finding a language partner.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. We were talking about how having a workout partner helps with motivation and commitment. I think the same principle applies to learning a language.
Absolutely. Having a language partner can make a huge difference in your progress.
How so?
Well, for starters, it provides you with a real person to practice speaking with. You can get feedback on your pronunciation, your grammar, and your vocabulary.
That's important because you need to actually use the language to improve.
Exactly. And a language partner can also help you stay motivated and accountable. You're more likely to stick to your study schedule if you know someone is waiting for you to practice with.
Plus, it's just more fun to learn with someone else. You can share your struggles and successes and celebrate each other's milestones.
It's like having a workout buddy for your language skills.
I love that analogy. So if you're serious about improving your English, I highly recommend finding a language partner.
I agree. It can be a game changer for your language learning journey.
Okay, I want to circle back to the dialogue one last time.
Sounds good. What did you want to talk about?
I noticed that Mark uses the phrase, "How about joining me this Wednesday?" when he invites Jessica to the gym. I think this is a very useful phrase that English learners can use in many situations.
You're right. It's a friendly and inviting way to suggest an activity.
Can you give us some other examples of how to use this phrase?
Sure. You could say, how about joining me for coffee tomorrow? Or, how about joining me for a walk in the park?
Oh, those are good ones. And you could also use it for more formal situations, like, how about joining me for a business meeting next week?
Exactly. It's a versatile phrase that can be adapted to different levels of formality.
And it's a great alternative to saying, would you like to? Which can sometimes sound a bit too formal.
I agree. How about joining me is a more casual and friendly way to extend an invitation.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've analyzed the dialogue, explored key vocabulary and phrases, and even talked about the importance of finding a language partner.
It's been a really productive deep dive.
I agree. Now, before we wrap up, I want to remind our listeners that the best way to learn English is to practice, practice, practice.
That's right. Don't be afraid to use the phrases we discussed today in your own conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they will become.
And if you're looking for more helpful tips and resources, be sure to check out our website and social media pages.
We're always sharing new content to help you improve your English skills.
It feels like we've given our listeners so many great tools to start using in their English conversations.
Yeah, we really have. I mean, we've really pulled apart the simple dialogue, haven't we?
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can get from such a short conversation. I was thinking that not everyone's going to be comfortable like jumping straight into finding a language partner. Some people might feel a bit shy.
That's true. I mean, putting yourself out there can be a little scary, especially when you're still trying to, build your confidence with speaking.
Exactly. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to practice speaking but isn't quite ready for a language partner?
I mean, there are actually lots of ways to practice speaking English, even if you're not talking directly with another person. One thing I always recommend is shadowing.
Oh, shadowing. Yeah, I've heard of that technique. Can you explain it for our listener?
Sure. So shadowing is basically copying a native English speaker when they are talking. You can use videos, podcasts, even audiobooks.
So you listen to a native speaker, And you try to say the words at the same time as them.
Yeah, exactly. It might feel a bit strange at first, but it's a really good way to improve your pronunciation, your intonation, and even learn some new words.
Yeah, it's like training your mouth to kind of get used to making the sounds of English.
Exactly, like a workout for your tongue.
And the best part is you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. You don't need to, arrange a meeting or find someone. Just put in your headphones and you're good to go.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
What other techniques would you recommend for, like, speaking practice by yourself?
Another good one is talking to yourself out loud. I know it sounds a bit weird.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I talk to myself when I'm cooking, when I'm getting ready.
So you're already practicing.
Oh.
It's really effective. You can describe what you're doing. You can narrate your day. You can even have imaginary conversations.
Yeah, it's like you create your own little English world, even if it's just for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The point is to get comfortable, with using the language and making sentences without the pressure of someone else listening.
Right. And all of these techniques, they kind of take the pressure off. It's just you and the language having fun experimenting.
Yeah. And the more you practice like that, the smoother and more confident you'll become. And then when you are ready to talk with other people, it'll feel much easier.
Okay, I want to circle back to something that you mentioned earlier, which is setting realistic goals. That came up in our dialogue, and I think it's a really great thing to remember.
You're absolutely right. I mean, setting realistic goals, that's so important for success in anything you do. Fitness, languages, your career, anything.
It's about being kind to yourself and recognizing that progress takes time.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those big, scary goals into smaller, easier steps. It's about celebrating your progress and not getting discouraged when things are difficult.
It's about enjoying the journey, right?
Yeah.
Not just focusing on the end goal.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And it's okay to change your goals as you go, as you're learning, as you're growing.
Flexibility is key.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to end, I think. So to our listener, thanks for joining us today on this deep dive into finding a workout partner. I feel like we've learned so much along the way.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. Hopefully you learned some useful English phrases and you're feeling inspired to keep practicing.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. We'd love for you to join our community of English learners.
And we release new episodes every week. So if you subscribe and turn on those notifications, you won't miss any of our future deep dives.
Okay, so until next time, keep practicing your English, keep learning, and keep having fun.
Bye for now.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex.
And I'm Ella.
And welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at how to use English for job applications.
Yes.
We have a really cool sample dialogue about applying for an internship.
Okay.
And we'll be breaking it down and looking at some of the key vocabulary and phrases
That's a great idea.
so you can use them when you're applying for jobs.
Yes, especially for people learning English. This is really helpful.
Yeah, so let's jump right into the dialogue.
Okay.
Imagine you have two friends, and one of them is looking for advice.
Okay.
So I'm going to be Emma,
Okay.
and you can be David.
Got it.
Okay, so Emma wants advice for a marketing internship.
Okay.
So she says, I want to apply for the marketing internship.
Okay.
Can you help me?
Of course.
Yep.
Did you make your resume new?
I need to show my good experience on my resume.
This company likes people who do things without waiting. Put your projects on your resume.
What about the interview? What do they do?
Usually they talk to you 2 times and give you a test.
Wow, that's hard. How do I get ready?
Look at their new ads and practice example problems.
Wow, that was really good.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to understand when you hear it like that.
It is, yeah, like a real conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
let's look at some of the important words and phrases
Right.
from the dialogue.
okay.
The first one that kind of jumps out at me is good experience.
Yes.
Emma mentions that she needs to show her good experience on her resume.
Yes.
What does that mean for a job application?
So good experience, it means things that you did before that are similar to the job that you want.
Okay.
So for Emma,
Yeah.
good experience means the things she did that are similar to marketing.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, like, if she volunteered
Yeah.
to help a club with their social media or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if she made a plan to raise money for a charity.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are,
That's all good experience for marketing.
yes, very relevant to marketing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's something that's really important.
For anyone applying for any job, you need to show the company that you can do the job.
You need to prove it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And not just say, I can do it.
yeah, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to show them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so good experience. That's one important phrase.
Another important word is initiative.
Oh, yeah.
Remember David said the company likes people with initiative?
Right?
That word can be a little tricky.
Yeah, what does initiative really mean?
So initiative means doing things without waiting for someone to tell you to do it.
Okay.
So you see a problem and you solve it.
Okay.
Or you have an idea and you start working on it.
So, like, you're a self-starter.
Exactly.
You don't need someone to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You just go and do it.
Yes, companies really like that.
Okay.
Especially for internships.
Yeah.
Because they want people who are
Motivated.
excited to learn.
Yeah, willing to take initiative.
And
Yeah.
start new things. Exactly.
And that makes sense because if you're working for a company, you want somebody who's going to go above and beyond.
Yeah, you don't want to tell them what to do every 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows that you actually care about the work.
Yes.
And you're not just there to,
get a paycheck and go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah, so initiative is really important.
initiative. That's good. Okay.
And then next we have the test.
The test.
Remember, David said the company usually gives a test to people applying for the internship.
Right. Yeah.
So this is something that many companies do.
Okay.
It helps them to see if you actually have the skills
Makes sense.
for the job.
So what kind of tests do marketing companies give?
Well, it depends on the company,
Okay.
but they might ask you to plan a social media campaign
Okay.
or maybe look at some data from an old marketing campaign
Got it.
or write something like a blog post.
Okay.
So they want to see how you think and if you can actually do the work.
It's like a little taste of the real job.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if you're applying for an internship, make sure you're prepared
You got it.
to take a test.
Yeah, because there's a good chance they'll give you one
Okay.
to see if you can actually do it. And remember, David also told Emma to look at the company's new ads.
Right.
That's good advice for anyone applying for a job.
Yeah, it is.
It shows that you're interested in the company.
Yeah.
And you want to learn about what they do.
But how can we actually learn from their ads?
Well, it's like doing your homework.
Okay.
Before you go to a job interview, you should learn about the company.
Okay.
Look at their website. Look at their social media.
Mm.
What kind of work do they do?
Yeah.
Who are their customers?
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That way, when you go into the interview,
Yeah.
you can show them that you actually care about what they do.
Exactly.
You're not just there for a job.
Right. You've actually taken the time to think about it.
Yeah, you put in the effort.
Okay, now let's go back to the dialogue for a minute.
Okay.
There's one phrase that I think is really useful for English learners. Yeah.
Who are applying for jobs.
Okay.
And that is, show my good experience.
Oh, yeah. Emma said, I need to show my good experience on my resume.
Yes.
That's a really important phrase.
It is.
But it can be a little tricky
Yeah.
for people who are learning English.
It's a good way to say that you need to talk about
Okay.
the things you did before that are relevant
Okay.
to the job you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like telling a story
Yeah.
about your skills
Exactly.
and how they can benefit the company.
And why you are the best person
Yeah.
for this job.
Yeah. So let's break that down.
Okay.
To show means to let someone see something.
Right. Like to demonstrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And good experience, we already talked about.
Yeah.
That's the things you did before.
Similar to the job.
Yeah, that are similar to the job that you want.
Yep.
So when you put those two together, show your good experience.
Yeah.
You're saying,
You are explaining.
yeah, you're explaining to the company how your skills
Yeah.
match the job and why they should hire you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just about saying those words, though.
Right.
You need to choose
Yeah.
the right words
Yeah.
to describe your experience.
Yeah. And you need to be careful about which experiences you choose to highlight.
Exactly. You need to pick the ones that are most relevant
Yeah.
to the job.
And then you need to explain those
Yeah.
experiences in a way that shows how they would help the company.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, for example,
Yeah.
let's say you were writing a cover letter
Okay.
for a marketing internship.
Yeah.
You could say something like,
Oh.
I was the leader of the social media team for my school newspaper.
Okay.
This showed my good experience in.
Okay.
And then you would list the skills,
Yes.
like
Perfect.
writing, creating content,
Yeah.
and, online communication.
Exactly. Yeah, you're using the phrase show my good experience in a natural way.
Yeah.
And you're explaining how that experience is relevant.
Is relevant to the job.
Yeah. To the job.
You could also use this phrase when you're talking to the companies.
During an interview.
Yeah, during the interview.
For example,
Yeah.
they might ask you, what are your best skills?
Right.
And you can say, I'm really good at showing my good experience and tailoring my approach to different jobs.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's a great way to show that
Yeah.
you understand
Yes.
the importance of picking
Yes.
the right experience
The right experience.
for each job.
For each job. Exactly.
Yeah, okay, so remember, it's not just about saying the phrase.
Right?
It's about understanding what it means
Yeah.
and using it in the right way.
Exactly.
So when you're talking about your experience,
Yeah.
you can say, I took the initiative to, or I started a project to,
Yeah.
and then explain how that project
Yes.
shows your skills.
Show your skills.
Yeah,
And remember to be specific and give examples.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is really helpful advice.
Yeah.
For anyone learning English,
Especially
especially if they want a job in marketing.
if you want to work in marketing.
Yeah, it's all about learning the right words
Yes.
and using them.
And the more you practice, the better you'll get.
Yeah.
And the more confident you'll be.
Yeah, you'll be able to walk into that interview
Yes.
and say all the right things.
Exactly.
So yeah, so when you're applying for a job,
Yeah.
make sure to show your good experience.
Yes.
It's a simple phrase, but it can make a big difference.
And it shows that you're thinking carefully
Yeah.
about how your skills
Yeah.
connect with the job.
Connect. Yeah, and that's important for everyone.
Yeah.
Even people who,
Even native speakers.
yeah, even native speakers.
God damn it.
Everyone has to show their good experience.
Okay, so let's move on to another important phrase
Okay.
from the dialogue.
Okay.
2 times and a test.
Okay.
David said that the company usually does 2 interviews
Right.
and then a test.
Right.
This is a very common way. For companies to choose the best person for a job,
Okay.
they want to learn more about you.
Okay.
They want to know if you have the skills to do the work.
Okay, so what happens during those 2 interviews?
So the first interview is usually pretty short.
Okay.
They just ask you some basic questions.
Like getting to know you questions.
Getting to know you, yeah.
Yeah.
They want to see if you're a good fit for the company.
If you're a good cultural
A
fit?
cultural fit, exactly.
Okay, so it's like a quick introduction?
A quick introduction.
Okay, and then the second interview.
The second interview is usually longer
Okay.
and more serious.
Okay.
You'll probably talk to the boss
Okay.
or the people you would be working with,
Right.
and they're going to ask you more difficult questions
Okay.
about your skills and experience.
Okay, so they really want to know.
They want to know if you can do the job.
Yeah, if you can do the job.
They might ask you about past projects
Okay.
or how you solved the problem at work. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 interviews and then the test.
And then the test.
We talked about this a little bit before.
Yeah.
But can you give us some more specific examples
Yeah.
of what the test might be like for a marketing job?
Of course. So for a marketing job, the test might ask you to do these things.
Okay, I'm listening.
They might give you a pretend product
Okay.
and say, okay, plan how to sell this
Okay.
on social media. So they want to see
yeah.
if you understand how to use social media
For marketing.
for marketing.
Okay.
And if you can be creative
Yeah.
and think about,
Yeah.
how to communicate with customers online,
Okay, what else?
they might give you some numbers
Okay.
about an old marketing campaign
Okay.
and ask you to explain
Okay.
what happened.
So like analyze the data.
Analyze the data. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to see if you can understand marketing data
Okay.
and explain what it means.
That sounds challenging.
Yeah.
What else could they ask you to do?
They might ask you to write something
Okay.
for the company,
Right.
like a message to customers
Yeah.
or a story about the company
Yeah.
for their website.
So they want to see.
They want to see if you can write well,
Yeah.
if you can communicate clearly,
If you can communicate
but
clear.
if you understand the company's style.
Yeah. Okay. So the test is a way for the company to
To see how you think.
Yeah.
How you work.
Yeah, how you approach problems.
And if you have the skills
Yeah.
to actually do the job.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of the test.
Yeah.
Just try your best.
Yeah.
And show them what you can do.
It's a good opportunity
It is, yeah.
to shine.
It's a chance to shine.
Yeah, okay.
So all of this might sound a little bit scary
Yeah.
if you're new to applying for jobs.
Yeah.
But remember, everyone starts somewhere.
Exactly.
You don't need to know everything.
Right.
Just be prepared.
Yeah.
Practice your English.
Yeah, and remember to show your good experience.
Exactly.
That's really important.
It can really help you get the job you want.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Now let's talk about another important part
Yes.
of getting ready for a job interview,
Okay.
and that is learning about the company's work.
Okay, so.
Remember, David told Emma to look at the company's new ads
Yeah.
and practice example problems.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Like doing research
doing research, yeah.
before you go to a party.
Yeah. Like you want to know something about the
yeah.
people you're going to meet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to go in there blind.
exactly. You want to be prepared.
Okay, so how can we actually learn
Yeah.
about a company's work?
Well, like we said before,
Yeah.
you can start by looking at their website,
Okay.
looking at their social media.
The social media.
What kind of projects are they working on?
Oh,
What are they saying to their customers?
okay. That's a good start.
Yeah, and you can also look for articles or stories
Okay.
about the company online,
Okay.
or look for examples of other people's work
Okay.
in the same field. Okay.
So it's like studying for a test.
Yeah.
The more you know,
Yeah.
the better prepared you'll be.
The more confident you'll feel.
Exactly. And when you're practicing,
Yeah.
don't just read the information.
Okay.
Think about it carefully.
Right.
Ask yourself questions like,
Yeah.
what is the company trying to do?
Yeah.
Who are they trying to reach?
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because then when you go into the interview,
Yeah.
you can actually talk about
'Cause of
what
the
you
ex-
learned
Yeah.
and show them.
Yeah.
Show that you're interested. Yeah, that you did your research.
You did your research.
You're not just there
Yeah.
for any job. You're there for their job.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's like showing up for a test
Yeah.
and knowing all the answers.
knowing all the answers.
Yeah.
You're going to feel more confident.
You're going to impress the company.
You're going to impress the company. Exactly. Now let's talk about another way to practice
Okay.
for a marketing interview. And that is using case studies.
Case studies, what are those?
So a case study is basically like a story
Okay.
about a real marketing problem
Oh,
that a
yes.
company faced
Okay.
and how they solved it.
Okay.
You can find these online. You can find them in books.
Okay, so we can read about
You can read about.
how other companies did marketing.
Yeah.
And learn from their
successes and mistakes.
their successes and mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, but how can we use those
Yeah.
to practice for an interview?
So don't just read the case study.
Okay.
Think about it carefully.
Yeah,
Ask
yeah.
yourself questions like, what was the problem?
Yeah.
How did the company try to solve it?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Why or why not?
Okay.
What would you have done differently?
Okay, so it's like a thought experiment.
It is like a thought experiment. It's like solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
It helps you to understand
Yeah.
how marketing works in the real world.
Yeah. So then when you go into the interview,
Yeah.
you can use what you've
Do
learned.
that from those case studies.
You can talk about
Yeah.
different marketing strategies.
Right.
You can show the company that you understand
Yeah.
how to approach different marketing problems.
How to solve problems.
How to solve problems. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's all about showing the company that you're smart,
Yeah.
you're prepared,
Yeah.
and you're ready to work hard.
Yeah. This is really great advice
Yeah.
for anyone
For anyone who wants
who
to
wants to get a marketing internship.
get a marketing internship.
So just to recap,
The main points here.
make sure to show your good experience.
Show your good experience.
Practice answering
Practice interview questions.
interview questions. Learn about the company.
Learn about the company's work.
And study case studies.
And study case studies.
And if you do all those things,
yeah.
you'll be
ready.
to impress
Any company. Okay, and remember learning English.
Learning English for your job.
Yeah.
Takes time.
It takes time and effort. Yeah.
But it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it.
It can really help you get a good job and have a better life.
Have a good life. Yeah.
So don't be afraid to make mistakes.
No.
Keep practicing and you'll get better.
Keep practicing, you'll get better.
And remember, we're here to help.
We are here to help.
We have lots of
other deep dives.
Sweet dives today about learning English.
About learning English and getting a job. So if you like our show, please subscribe. And give us a like.
That helps other people find the show.
It does. It helps us make more shows.
Yeah.
To help you learn English.
And we love to hear from our listeners.
We do.
So if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Or any ideas for new shows.
Yeah. Definitely let us know.
Yeah, please tell us.
We want to
make learning English fun.
Fun and easy and helpful.
Fun and helpful for you. Exactly.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive about getting an internship, we want to leave you with something to think about.
Yes, we talked about how to get ready for an interview, how to show off your skills.
Yeah.
But what about the company?
Right.
What do you want in a company?
Yeah, that's a really important question.
It is.
What kind of job?
What kind of job do you want?
What
kind of people do you want to work with?
Yeah, what kind of environment?
Do you want to be in?
What kind of projects do you want to work on?
Think about these things.
Yeah, think about it.
And look for companies that match your ideas.
Because remember, an internship is not just about the company choosing you.
Right.
You are also choosing...
You're interviewing them too.
You are also choosing the company.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So be curious.
Be curious.
And ask lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
And choose an internship.
Yeah.
That will help you learn and grow.
Learn and grow because when you like your job,
you're
going to do your best work.
You're going to do your best work. You're going to be happier.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about.
Finding a job. That makes you happy.
That makes you happy and helps you grow.
Yeah, it helps you grow. Yeah, it's like find the right puzzle piece.
Exactly.
You want to find the company that fits you.
You want to find a good fit.
Yeah. Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive into getting a marketing internship.
Yes.
Remember these key things.
Show your good experience. Practice answering interview questions.
Practice those interview questions.
Learn about the company's work. And study case studies. Yes. If you do all those things, you'll be ready to impress any company.
You'll be ready to go.
You'll be ready to go.
And remember, learning English for your job, it's a journey.
It is a journey.
It takes time.
It takes time and effort.
But it's so worth it.
But it is so worth it.
Being able to speak English well can open so many doors for you.
So many opportunities. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe and like our show.
And we'll be back.
With
more deep dives.
On how to learn English and get your dream job.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.
Keep practicing your English and good luck with your job search. All right, so today we're diving into feedback. Specifically, giving and receiving feedback after presentations. And this can be a little awkward, even for native English speakers.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to unpack a dialogue that kind of captures this perfectly.
Okay, sounds good.
So we have two colleagues, John and Emma.
Right.
And John is giving Emma feedback on a presentation.
Makes sense.
Okay, so to make this super clear, let's hear the dialogue first. I'll be Emma. You can be John.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hi, John. Do you have a moment to discuss my presentation?
Of course, Emma. I'd be happy to give you some feedback.
Yeah, I was quite apprehensive about speaking in front of so many people.
That's understandable. Your visuals were compelling, though.
Thanks. I spent quite some time preparing those slides.
One suggestion. Try to maintain more eye contact with the audience.
I'll definitely work on that for my next presentation.
Great.
Okay, so
Yeah.
first of all, I notice how Emma admitted to feeling apprehensive about the presentation.
Right.
Is that a common feeling?
Yeah, I mean, public speaking is consistently ranked as one of the most common fears, so it's completely relatable.
Even for native English speakers?
Even for native English speakers.
Yeah. Wow. So that's something that everyone struggles with.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's interesting that she even took the initiative to ask for feedback.
Right, exactly. That shows she's really thinking about it and wants to improve, which is great, you know, being proactive.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Especially in the workplace.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let's look at how John gives feedback.
Okay.
He says, your delivery was quite engaging, but you seemed a bit nervous at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this an effective way to give feedback?
Well, he's doing something that we call balanced feedback.
Okay.
He starts with something positive. Your delivery was quite engaging, so that's a strength.
So he's not just jumping into the criticism?
Exactly. Yeah, and engaging is a really good word to use when we're talking about presentations.
Oh, yeah. What does that mean exactly?
Engaging means that it captures the audience's attention.
Okay.
And it keeps them interested.
Interesting.
So let's repeat that together. Engaging.
Engaging.
Perfect.
And I like how he then addressed her nervousness, but he phrases it very subtly.
Right.
He says, you seemed a bit nervous at the beginning.
Yeah.
So how does that soften the feedback?
Well, instead of just saying you seemed nervous,
Right.
he's acknowledging that, yeah, maybe at the beginning it's understandable to be a little nervous. And it implies that as the presentation went on, she got more comfortable.
That's great.
So it's all about the nuance.
Okay, so really quickly, let's just repeat the key phrases from John's feedback.
Okay.
So first, the positive, your delivery was quite engaging.
Your delivery was quite engaging.
And then the area for growth, you seemed a bit nervous at the beginning.
You seemed a bit nervous at the beginning.
Perfect. Okay. Now, John also mentions Emma's visuals.
Okay.
He says, your visuals were compelling.
Mm-hmm.
So what does he mean by that?
So compelling is a great word.
It is, yeah.
It means that they were very interesting and powerful.
Oh, okay.
That you just can't help but pay attention.
So it's like they were very strong.
Yeah, they were very strong, they were well designed, and they really helped to get her message across.
Okay, so compelling meaning very strong, very effective.
Exactly.
All right, and we see that Emma was very proud of her visuals.
Yeah.
Because she says, thanks, I spent quite some time preparing those slides.
Right, and that's a good sign.
Yeah.
It means she understands that visuals are really important for a good presentation.
Okay, so she gets it.
She gets it.
Okay, so we've got the engaging delivery and the compelling visuals.
Right.
Now, John suggests one more thing.
Okay.
He says, try to maintain more eye contact with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Why is eye contact so important?
Well, it helps to establish a connection with the audience.
Right.
And it makes the speaker seem more confident
More
and trustworthy. Yeah, and I think this is a good point, especially for those who are learning English as a second language.
Oh, absolutely.
While good English is important, eye contact can really help to make a good impression.
Okay, so it's all about how you connect with the people listening.
Exactly.
So what are some practical tips for improving eye contact during a presentation?
Okay, well, one technique is the triangle method.
Okay.
Imagine you divide the audience into 3 sections.
Okay. Left, center, right.
Yeah, exactly. And then you make eye contact with someone in each section for a few seconds before moving on to the next.
So you're not just like scanning the room randomly.
Right. It's much more deliberate.
Okay.
So it feels more natural.
More natural.
And of course, practice makes perfect.
Practice?
Yeah. The more you practice, the less you'll have to look at your notes, and the more you can connect with your audience.
Makes sense.
And just so everyone remembers what John said,
Yeah.
try to maintain more eye contact with the audience.
Try to maintain more eye contact with the audience. Okay. Now, I thought it was really interesting how Emma didn't get defensive about the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
She just said, I'll definitely work on that for my next presentation.
Right. She's very receptive to the feedback, and she seems to really want to improve.
Yeah. What does this tell us about her?
Well, it shows that she's got a positive attitude and a growth mindset.
Okay.
And those are both very important in any workplace.
Yeah. So it's not always easy to receive criticism,
Oh, definitely not.
but Emma shows us how to do it gracefully,
Yeah, absolutely.
with a commitment to learning.
Exactly.
Okay, so this has been really helpful.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot about giving and receiving feedback.
We have.
But before we continue our deep dive, I want to remind our listeners that subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button will unlock even more helpful tips and insights.
Absolutely. We've got a lot more to explore.
Yeah, we've got lots more to talk about,
Definitely.
so stay tuned.
We'll be right back. It's interesting, though, how this short dialogue kind of shows us something bigger about workplace culture.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like John and Emma work in a place
Okay.
where feedback is welcomed,
Right.
it's encouraged,
Yeah.
criticism,
Mm-hmm.
and Emma feels okay asking for it.
Yeah, it's like they've built this foundation of trust,
Right, exactly.
which is so important
Mhm.
for growth both individually and as a team.
Yeah, a workplace where feedback is stifled is a workplace that's probably not going to grow.
right, it's going to stagnate.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we cultivate that kind of environment?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's something that people at all levels can
Mhm.
struggle with.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start with giving feedback.
Okay.
One of the most important things is to be specific
Okay.
and to focus on behaviors,
Okay, so not personality.
not personalities,
Yeah.
right? So instead of saying you were boring,
Right.
which is subjective and kind of mean, you could say something like, I noticed that you read directly from the slides. Perhaps next time you could try summarizing the key points in your own words.
That's much more helpful.
Right.
Yeah, it's actionable.
Yeah.
And it's something that the person can actually change.
Exactly. And it's also a good example of how to keep your language clear and simple,
Right.
which is really important when you're talking with non-native English speakers.
Absolutely avoid using any jargon
Yes, definitely.
or really complex vocabulary.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
And it's important to be timely with feedback as well.
Oh, right. So don't wait weeks after the presentation
Exactly. The sooner the better.
while it's still fresh in everyone's minds.
Yes, exactly.
So a specific focus on behavior
Yes.
and be timely.
That's right.
That's great advice.
Okay.
Now, what about receiving feedback?
Okay.
How do we handle it well, even if it's not what we want to hear?
Okay. That's where it can get tricky.
Yeah.
It's natural to feel defensive,
Right.
but you got to remember that feedback is supposed to help us grow.
Okay.
So the key is to really listen
Mm-hmm.
and try to understand their perspective.
Yeah, this can be especially hard for non-native speakers
Right.
who might be worried about misunderstanding the feedback or
Mhm.
not being able to express themselves clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that case, don't be afraid to ask for clarification.
Right.
So if they say you spoke too quickly,
Right.
you could ask, were there specific parts where you felt I rushed through the information?
Right. So asking clarifying questions
Yeah.
can really help you understand the feedback better.
Exactly. And it shows them that you're taking it seriously
Right.
and that you actually want to improve.
So let's repeat that key phrase.
Okay.
Can you tell me more about?
Can you tell me more about?
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, now what about those times when you receive feedback that you think is just wrong?
Oh, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
It can be tough.
Yeah. How do you handle that without getting defensive?
Okay, well, even if you disagree, it's still important to stay calm and professional.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, no, I don't think so.
Which can be really dismissive.
Yes, very dismissive.
Yeah.
You could say that's an interesting perspective.
Okay.
Can you tell me more about what led you to that observation?
Okay, so you're keeping the conversation open.
Exact.
And you might actually gain some valuable insight
Right, you never know.
from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, and even if you ultimately disagree,
Mm-hmm.
You can still acknowledge their feelings
Yes.
and thank them for their honesty.
Exactly. Sometimes just saying, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with me.
Okay.
I'll definitely take them into consideration.
Yeah.
That can really help to maintain a positive relationship.
Especially in the workplace.
Absolutely. You don't want to damage relationships
Right.
just because you disagree with someone.
Yeah.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Okay, balance.
Yeah, between standing up for yourself and being open
To different perspectives.
to different perspectives, exactly. And sometimes the best thing to do is just sleep on it.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely regretted
You too.
some impulsive responses
Oh, yeah.
in the heat of the moment.
Perhaps.
So just take a breath,
Yeah.
respond
I'm
thoughtfully.
flattered. Okay, now let's talk about something else that can be challenging.
Okay.
Giving feedback to someone who's really sensitive.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely met people
Yeah.
who just take any criticism personally,
It's tough.
even if it's well-intentioned.
It is, but there are ways to approach it carefully.
Yeah.
Well, first you got to choose the right time and place.
Okay, so not in public.
Not in public. No.
Not when they're already stressed.
No, definitely not. You want to schedule a private meeting
Okay.
so you can have a calm one-on-one conversation.
So setting the stage
Yeah,
for a positive interaction.
exactly. And when you're giving the feedback,
Okay.
be empathetic and understanding.
Okay.
Let them know that you get why they might be feeling sensitive. You could say something like, I know this is a sensitive area,
Okay.
but I wanted to share some observations that I think could be helpful.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder that different cultures
Yes.
can view feedback very
It's
differently.
a really important point.
Yeah.
What might seem direct and honest in one culture could be seen as harsh
Right.
or disrespectful in another.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be mindful of that.
Especially when giving feedback that could be seen as negative.
Absolutely.
Okay. So imagine you need to give feedback to someone who is sensitive
Okay.
and also a non-native English speaker.
Yeah.
How would you approach that?
In that situation, you have to be extra patient
Okay.
and choose your words very carefully.
Mhm.
I would really focus on using clear, simple language
Okay.
and avoid any idioms or expressions that could be confusing.
Right.
And it might also be helpful to say the feedback in a few different ways
Oh, okay.
to make sure they really understand.
To make sure the message is clear.
Exactly. And remember, the goal isn't to win an argument
Right.
or to prove that you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's to help them grow and improve.
Yeah.
So be patient,
Patience.
be understanding,
I understand.
and be willing to work together to find solutions that work for everyone.
This has been so insightful. I think we've covered a lot
Yeah,
when it comes to giving and receiving feedback,
I think so.
both for native and non-native English speakers.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we look at some real-life examples?
Sure, just one more thing.
Okay.
I want to say that feedback is a gift.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to learn to grow
Mm-hmm.
and to become the best version of ourselves,
Yeah.
both personally and professionally.
All right.
But it's also a skill that you have to practice.
Mm.
So be patient with yourself and with others.
Okay.
And remember that even small improvements can make a big difference.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah,
Feedback is a gift.
it is.
Okay, now before we jump into those examples, I want to remind our listeners to subscribe to the channel
Yes.
for more deep dives into everyday conversations.
We'll be back in a moment to explore how these principles play out in real-world situations.
All right, so let's put all this feedback wisdom to work
Okay.
with a few real-life scenarios.
That sounds good.
So imagine you're managing a team,
Mm-hmm.
and one of your team members, let's call him David,
Okay, David.
he consistently gives these presentations
Okay.
that are packed with information,
Mm-hmm.
but they lack a clear storyline.
I see.
The audience often leaves feeling overwhelmed and confused.
Yeah, that's tough.
So how would you approach giving David feedback on this?
Okay, well, I would start by acknowledging his strengths.
Okay.
I'd say something like, David, I really appreciate the depth of your knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and the effort you put into your presentations.
Okay, so you're starting with a positive
Exactly.
to set a supportive tone.
Yeah. Then I'd gently transition into the area for improvement. And I'd focus on the audience experience.
Right.
So I might say, I've noticed that the audience sometimes feels a bit overwhelmed
Okay.
by the amount of information.
Right.
I wonder if we could explore ways to streamline the content and create a clearer narrative flow.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Because you're not just pointing out the problem.
Right.
You're inviting him to be part of the solution.
Exactly. It's a team effort.
Okay, now let's flip the script.
Okay.
Imagine you're on the receiving end of feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels a bit off.
Okay.
Like a colleague tells you that your presentation style is too energetic.
Too energetic.
Yeah, for their taste.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
Well, presentation style is often subjective.
Right.
What one person finds engaging,
Yeah.
another person might find distracting.
Okay.
So I would start by acknowledging their feedback and saying that I want to understand their perspective.
Okay, so you could say, thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for ways to improve.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear more about what you found distracting about my energy level.
Perfect.
Okay.
Because by asking for clarification,
Yeah.
you might learn something.
Right.
Maybe they felt that your energy level didn't match the tone of the presentation, or that it took away from your message.
Yeah, so even feedback that feels a bit off can be a learning opportunity.
Absolutely.
And then once you understand their reasoning,
Right.
you can decide if you want to change your style in the future.
Exactly.
Or if you feel like your style is authentic to you
Yeah.
and it works for your target audience,
Right.
you can explain that to them.
Yes, but always be respectful
Of course.
of their feedback.
Okay, so it's about finding that balance.
Balance, yeah.
Taking what's useful,
Mm-hmm.
leaving what's not
And staying true to yourself.
as a presenter.
That's it.
Okay, so I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners.
Yeah.
Feedback is meant to be helpful, not hurtful.
Exactly.
And if we approach it with the right mindset, it can help us grow,
Yeah.
both personally and professionally.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of feedback.
It has.
I hope our listeners feel more confident now
Yeah.
about giving and receiving feedback.
Me too.
And remember, feedback is a gift.
Yes.
Embrace it,
Embrace it.
learn from it,
Learn from it.
and use it to become even better communicators.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So if you enjoyed this deep dive,
Mm.
don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button
Yes, please.
for more insightful explorations into everyday conversations.
We'll see you next time.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those conversations flowing. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are talking all about cooking, and more importantly, how to talk about cooking in English.
That's right.
We're going to break down a simple conversation between two friends who are sharing a recipe.
Yeah.
So get ready to learn some really useful cooking vocabulary and how to ask for a recipe in English.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun and easy.
Okay, so the deep dive today is called Sharing a Recipe.
Okay.
And it's dialogue between two friends, Michael and Kate.
Right.
And Michael makes amazing tomato sauce, and Kate wants to know how he makes it.
Okay.
So before we break it all down, let's just hear the whole conversation first.
Right.
I'll be Kate, and you can be Michael.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Your tomato sauce last time was amazing. Could you share the recipe?
Sure. It's quite simple to prepare.
What ingredients do I need?
Fresh tomatoes, garlic, herbs, and you need to simmer it slowly.
How long should I cook it for?
Let it simmer for at least 30 minutes to enhance the flavor.
Any special tips for making it taste better?
Add a pinch of sugar to balance the acidity of tomatoes.
Perfect. Now let's take it step by step.
Okay, so first, Kate tells Michael, your tomato sauce last time was amazing.
Right.
So she's starting by giving him a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. It's always good to start with something positive. You know, she's saying she really liked his sauce.
Yeah, and notice how she says last time, like she's tried it before.
Right.
So this helps to remind Michael of the specific sauce she's talking about.
That's a good point. Using phrases like last time can make your conversations more natural.
Right, okay. Then she asks the big question. Could you share the recipe?
Right.
So this is a really important question to remember.
Mm-hmm.
You can use this whenever you want to ask for a recipe.
Right. Exactly.
And she uses could you to be polite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, would it be okay if you shared the recipe?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, could you share the recipe? Very useful phrase.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, he's happy to share. He says, sure, it's quite simple to prepare.
Right.
He's letting her know that the recipe isn't difficult.
Exactly. It encourages Kate to try the recipe because it's simple.
Yeah, I like how he uses the word simple. It makes me feel like I can make it too.
Exactly.
Now, Kate is ready to learn, so she asks, what ingredients do I need?
Right.
This is a very direct way to ask for the list of things you need to make something.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael gives her a clear answer. He says, fresh tomatoes, garlic, herbs, and you need to simmer it slowly.
Yes.
He tells her all the important ingredients.
So it's important to remember those key ingredients. Tomatoes, garlic, herbs.
Yeah, so we have tomatoes, garlic, herbs. These are common ingredients in many dishes.
Right.
And then he mentions simmering, which is a cooking technique. We'll talk more about that later.
Yes.
But let's go back to the phrase, what ingredients do I need?
Mm-hmm.
This is a really useful question to ask when you're learning a new recipe.
Absolutely. Because you need to know what to buy at the store.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So far, we've learned how to compliment someone's cooking.
Yeah.
We've learned how to ask for a recipe, and we've learned how to find out what ingredients we need.
Yes.
Okay, so we're back, and we are diving even deeper into Michael's amazing tomato sauce recipe.
That's right.
Kate just asked about the ingredients, and now she wants to know how long to cook it.
Yes.
So she asks, how long should I cook it for? This is another very important question when you're cooking anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Timing is key in cooking.
Right. And Michael tells her, let it simmer for at least 30 minutes to enhance the flavor.
Okay.
So the secret is to simmer it for a good amount of time.
Yeah, there's that word simmer again. Remember we mentioned it earlier.
Right.
It means to cook something slowly over low heat. So you don't want to boil it rapidly, just a gentle simmer.
Okay, so why is simmering so important? What does it do to the sauce?
Well, simmering is really what develops those deep, rich flavors. As the sauce simmers, the tomatoes break down, the garlic and herbs release their flavors, and everything just kind of melds together beautifully.
That makes sense. It's like all the flavors have time to get to know each other and become friends.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's not just about like throwing the ingredients together, it's about letting them simmer and develop their full potential.
Right. Okay, so Michael says to simmer it for at least 30 minutes. But can you cook it longer?
Oh, absolutely. You can definitely simmer it longer if you want an even richer flavor or a thicker sauce.
Okay.
Some people
Right.
simmer their sauce for hours.
Wow.
It's all about personal preference, really.
Right. Okay. So we have our ingredients we know to simmer it. Is there anything else that makes this sauce so special?
Yes. Well, Kate asks Michael if he has any special tips,
Okay.
and he reveals his secret ingredient.
Ooh. I love secret ingredients. What is it?
Well, she asks any special tips for making it taste better. And Michael says, add a pinch of sugar to balance the acidity of tomatoes.
A pinch of sugar. That's interesting. I never would have thought to add sugar to tomato sauce.
Yeah, it might seem surprising, but it's a common trick used by many cooks. You know, tomatoes can be naturally acidic.
Right. Yeah, sometimes tomato sauce can taste a bit too tart.
Exactly, exactly. So adding a little bit of sugar helps to counteract that acidity and create a more balanced flavor.
Okay.
It doesn't make the sauce sweet, it just rounds out the flavor, makes it more delicious.
So the sugar isn't really there to make it sweet. It's just to enhance the tomato flavor.
That's right, exactly. It's all about finding that right balance of flavors.
Yeah, that is such a helpful tip. Now I understand why Michael's tomato sauce is so amazing.
Yeah, it's all about understanding the ingredients and how they work together.
Okay, so we've covered the key ingredients, the importance of simmering, and Michael's secret tip for balancing the flavors. So what's next?
Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. We are wrapping up our conversation about sharing a recipe. We've learned so much from Michael and Kate's little chat about making tomato sauce.
It's amazing how much we can learn from just a simple conversation,
Right.
Not just about cooking, but also about how people interact and share
Yeah.
their knowledge.
Yeah. I feel like I've learned not only how to make amazing tomato sauce,
Yeah.
but also like how to talk about cooking in English.
Right?
We've covered some really useful phrases, like could you share the recipe and what ingredients do I need?
And how long should I cook it for? That's a very important one.
Yes. These phrases can be used like for any recipe.
Absolutely, not just for tomato sauce.
Right. You can use them to ask about any dish you're curious about. It's like having a secret code to unlock the world of cooking. That's a great way to put it. And remember, it's not just about memorizing phrases, it's about understanding the ideas behind them.
Yeah.
Like asking for a recipe, it's a way to connect with someone, you know, to show you appreciate their cooking and to learn something new.
That's a really great point. It's about sharing a passion for food
Mhm.
and connecting with others.
Exactly. And that's what makes cooking so special. It's a
Yeah.
way to bring people together to share stories and to create memories.
Yeah, and thinking back to Michael and Kate's conversation, it seemed like it was like more than just a recipe swap. They were like bonding over this shared love of food.
Yeah, I agree. Sharing food is a universal language.
Mm,
It transcends cultural barriers and it connects us on a deeper level.
yeah. I'm feeling inspired now to try out this recipe and share it with my friends.
Yes.
Maybe I'll even add my own secret ingredient.
That's the spirit. Remember, cooking is all about experimentation and having fun. Don't be afraid to try new things and make the recipe your own. And who knows, maybe someday someone will be asking you for your recipe.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like this deep dive has given me the confidence to not only talk about cooking in English, but to also like explore new recipes,
Yeah.
and share my culinary creations with others.
And remember, the best way to improve your English is to just keep practicing.
Hmm.
Talk about the food you love. Ask questions. Share your experiences. The more you use the language, the more natural it will become.
That's such great advice. I hope our listeners feel empowered to do just that.
Yes.
So to wrap up our deep dive, we want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Food is more than just sustenance.
Yeah.
It's a source of joy, connection, and cultural exploration.
And learning how to talk about it in English opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Yes.
So go forth, cook, eat, share, and enjoy the journey.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of cooking in English, be sure to like and subscribe to our show for more language learning adventures.
Thanks for joining us and happy cooking.
Hey everyone, ready to dive into something new? Today we're tackling photography tips, especially for those just starting out.
Yeah, photography is one of those things anyone can pick up, and it's so cool to see how a few simple tricks can make your photos pop no matter what camera you're using.
Exactly. And to help us illustrate these tips, we've got this dialogue between Tom and Emma, where Tom shares some advice with Emma.
Sounds fun.
We'll actually have Alex and Ella act it out for us, bring it to life a bit. So Alex, Ella, ready to step into the roles of Tom and Emma.
Totally. Hey, Emma, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex. I'm Ella.
Awesome. Take it away.
Hey, Emma. You asked about photography tips, right? Well, lately, I've been playing around with composition a lot.
Composition, what's that?
It's basically how you arrange everything in your photo. Like, think about where your subject is, what's in the background, that kind of stuff. Good composition is, like, essential for a good photo.
Oh, okay. So it's not just pointing and shooting then.
Nope, definitely not. Another biggie is exposure. Ever noticed how some pictures are way too bright or too dark? Yeah, for sure. That's all about exposure. You got to get the right amount of light, so you adjust it depending on like how bright or dark it is where you're shooting.
Exposure. Could you break that down a bit more?
Sure, so like if a photo's overexposed, it's got too much light, everything looks kind of washed out.
Gotcha. Anything else I should know?
Have you ever heard of the rule of thirds? It's a cool way to make your photos look more, dynamic.
The rule of thirds. Rings a bell, but not sure I've ever actually used it.
It's pretty easy, actually. Imagine your photos divided into 9 equal parts, like a tic-tac-toe board, right?
Yeah.
Then you try to put the important stuff in your photo along those lines or where they cross. That makes the photo, like, pop more.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
And one last thing, especially for photos of people, natural light's your best friend.
Natural lighting. What's so special about that?
It just makes portraits look amazing. It's way softer than, say, using a lamp or something.
Mm.
So you get nicer shadows, and everything looks more natural.
Wow. Thanks for all the tips, Tom. I'm going to go out this weekend and try all of this.
Wow. Great job, Alex and Ella. It felt like I was right there with them.
They really brought that dialogue to life.
So let's unpack what we just heard. Starting with composition. What actually makes a photo well composed?
Imagine you're telling a story, but with visuals. Composition's about arranging the elements in your photo, like the subject, the background, and everything, in a way that's pleasing to the eye and draws the viewer in.
So it's not just about what's in the photo, but also where everything is within the frame.
Right. Just like Tom said, it's arranging things within the frame. That's composition.
Tom also brought up exposure. This one can trip up beginners. What's the simplest way to understand it?
It's all about light, basically. Exposure is finding the right amount of light for your photo. Too much light, like Tom said, and you get an overexposed photo all washed out. Too little, it's underexposed, too dark.
That makes sense. Now, this rule of thirds, I've heard of it, but sometimes it feels a bit, I don't know, made up. Does it really change things?
It might sound kind of random, but it's really helpful, especially when you're starting out. Remember that tic-tac-toe grid we talked about? By putting your subject along those lines or where they meet, you create more visual interest and balance, making the photo more dynamic.
You've mentioned dynamic a few times. What does that actually mean when we're talking about photography?
A dynamic photo is one that grabs your attention. It creates a sense of movement or energy, even though it's a still image. The rule of thirds helps you do just that.
So it's not just about having things perfectly centered.
Sometimes having things a little off-center actually makes a photo more captivating.
Tom's last point was about natural light, especially for portraits. Why is that so important, especially when taking photos of people?
Think about standing under those harsh fluorescent lights versus being out in soft sunlight. Natural light is way more flattering. It creates softer shadows and makes people look their best. That's why it's a photographer's best friend, especially for portraits.
It makes people look their best.
Exactly. Natural light has that warmth and softness that's hard to recreate with artificial light.
So even without a fancy camera, you can still improve your photos just by thinking about composition, exposure, and lighting.
Totally. Those are like the fundamentals. It doesn't matter if you're using a phone or a pro camera. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you play around with these techniques, the better you'll get.
Let's quickly go over those key terms from the dialogue.
Sure. First, composition. Arranging elements in your photo to make it look good and balanced.
Then exposure. Making sure you have the right amount of light so your photo's not too bright or too dark.
And finally, the rule of thirds. A guideline for making your photos more dynamic by putting your subject off-center.
We'll be back in a jiffy with more from today's deep dive. Don't go anywhere. And if you're enjoying the show, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into all sorts of cool topics.
You know, it's interesting, these basic ideas we've been talking about, like composition, exposure, the rule of thirds, they're not just for beginners, really. Even pros think about them all the time.
I guess it makes sense. It's like the foundation, no matter how advanced you get.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if you're using a simple phone or some high-end camera. Those principles are behind every good photo.
It is kind of wild how good phone cameras have gotten, though. Everyone's got a decent camera right in their pocket now.
It's pretty amazing. And the tech just keeps getting better and better. You can do so much with just a phone these days.
But even with all that tech, going back to what Tom was saying, that focus on composition, it can really make a photo, you know?
Oh, for sure. And it's something you can practice anytime, anywhere. Just look around you, start thinking about how you'd frame different things, like how would you arrange stuff? What story are you trying to tell?
That's a great exercise, like mental training for photography. I'm looking out my window right now at this busy street. How would you compose a photo of that?
Well, I'd think about what I want to show. Is it like the craziness of the city, or maybe there's one person or thing that catches my eye. Once I know the story, then I can start arranging everything in the frame to show that story.
So it's about choosing what to include and where to put it intentionally.
Exactly. That's where the rule of thirds can come in handy. Instead of just putting the main thing in the middle, maybe you put it off to the side a bit, making it more dynamic, leading the viewer's eye around.
Like you're guiding the viewer, taking them on a visual journey through the photo.
Love that analogy. A good photo doesn't just capture the moment, it shapes how you experience that moment.
We've been getting into technical stuff, but there's also the artistic, emotional side of photography, right?
Oh, totally. A great photo is more than just what's in front of the lens. It makes you feel things, tells stories, captures the soul of a moment.
Like a snapshot of a feeling.
Exactly. And that's why photography is so powerful. It lets us connect with the world, share how we see things, and hold on to moments that would otherwise be gone.
Hearing you talk about it like that makes me realize photography is more than a hobby. It's how you see the world, a way to express yourself, even connect with other people.
I totally agree. And anyone can do it. You don't need some crazy expensive camera or years of training to take amazing photos.
That's so cool. Makes me want to grab my camera and see the world in a new way.
I hope you do. There are endless stories out there waiting to be captured.
Before we move on, I wanted to go back to something Tom mentioned about natural light being best for portraits. We touched on it, but could you explain why that is? What makes natural light so special for photos of people?
Natural light just has this quality you can't really fake with other lights. It's soft, spread out, and creates these nice shadows on faces. It just makes people look good.
So it's not just about how much light, but the kind of light you use.
Exactly. Think about being under those harsh fluorescent lights versus that soft light you get at sunset. Natural light has this warmth and richness that makes people's features look better. Artificial light just can't match that.
It's like the difference between seeing a band live and listening to a recording. The live show has this energy you can't capture in a studio.
Perfect analogy. And that's why good photographers work so hard to find the perfect natural light for portraits. They'll scout locations, wait for the right time of day, even use reflectors to shape the light just right.
It sounds like there's so much thought that goes into a great portrait.
Oh, yeah. But even if you're not a pro, you can still use natural light to your advantage. One simple tip: shoot during golden hour. That's the hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset. The light's soft, warm, and at a good angle. Makes for some gorgeous portraits, those soft shadows and kind of dreamy feel.
Oh, I've heard of golden hour. It's like nature's Instagram filter. Any other tips for making the most of natural light?
Definitely try to avoid shooting in direct sunlight, especially around midday when the sun's high up. That harsh light can make ugly shadows, and your subject will be squinting. Instead, look for open shade, like under a tree or a building. The light's softer there, makes for a better look.
So it's about finding that balance. Enough light, but not too much.
Right, and don't be afraid to play around with different lighting. See what works for you and your style. That's what photography is all about, trying new things.
This conversation is making me appreciate how much thought goes into taking a good picture. It's not just point and shoot. There's composition, lighting, the mood you're going for.
Totally. And that's what makes it so fun and rewarding. It's technical, artistic, and emotional all at the same time. And there's always something new to learn.
Speaking of learning, we've talked about composition, exposure, rule of thirds, natural light. What other important photography stuff should beginners know about?
Let's talk about perspective. Seems simple, but it's super powerful in photography.
Perspective. Tell me more.
It's basically your viewpoint as the photographer, where you're standing when you take the picture. Like if you shoot from a low angle, it can make your subject look bigger, more powerful. Shoot from up high, they look smaller, maybe more vulnerable. Just by changing your position, you totally change the mood of the photo.
Wow. So just by moving around, I can change how the whole photo feels.
Exactly. Playing with perspective can make your photos so much more creative and interesting. Don't be afraid to get low, climb up high, even tilt your camera. It's all about finding unique angles.
This reminds me of how they photograph world leaders. often from below, to make them look powerful.
Perfect example. Photographers use perspective to send messages, make you feel a certain way. It's like a secret language they're using.
Like adding a hidden meaning to the photo, guiding how people see it.
I like that. And the more you understand that language of perspective, the better you'll be at both taking and understanding photos.
Okay, so we've got composition, exposure, rule of thirds, natural light, and now perspective. I feel like I'm leveling up my photography skills already.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The key thing is to have fun and experiment. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become, and you'll find your own style.
We've been focusing on still photography, but a lot of these ideas apply to video too, right? It's basically a bunch of still images put together.
You got it. Composition, exposure, lighting, perspective, they're all important for video as well. And with video, you've got movement too, which opens up even more creative possibilities.
It's like choreography plus photography.
Exactly. And just like with still photography, how you compose your shots, use light, and choose your perspective can totally change the mood of your videos. Are you going for a fast-paced, energetic story or a more thoughtful, slow one? Your camera choices can tell the story.
It's like painting with light and motion, creating something that unfolds over time.
Well said. And like any art, the more you practice, the better you get at expressing yourself and connecting with your audience.
This conversation has really opened my eyes to what photography and video can do. It's not just about pretty pictures or recording stuff. It's about stories, self-expression, capturing the world in a way that's both personal and, relatable to everyone.
Couldn't agree more. And now with technology so accessible, anyone can be a visual storyteller.
That's inspiring. Okay, I think we've covered a lot today, from beginner tips to the deeper meaning of photography and video.
We have. Hopefully everyone listening feels inspired to get out there and start taking pictures, try these techniques, and capture their own view of the world.
Me too. Let's do a quick recap of those key terms we've been using.
Definitely. Always good to refresh. First, composition. How you arrange things in your photo to make it look good.
Then exposure, making sure you have the right amount of light.
Don't forget rule of thirds, placing your subject off-center for a more dynamic look.
And of course, natural lighting.
And last but not least, perspective. The angle you shoot from and how it affects your photo.
Perfect. I think we've covered it all.
We did. But remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to discover about photography.
We'll be right back with even more from our deep dive into photography. Stick around. One thing I really love about photography is how accessible it is. Like, you don't need a fancy studio or to be a pro to enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely. A camera and that desire to capture the world around you, that's all you really need. And nowadays, most people have a pretty decent camera right in their pocket, their phone.
That's so true. It feels like everyone's a photographer these days, and there's so much support online too. Tutorials, inspiration, other photographers sharing their work. It's easier than ever to learn.
Yeah, it's like this huge global community of people who love photography, always learning from each other. And the best part is there's always something new, a new technique or a different way of seeing things.
It's like this constant journey of discovery keeps things interesting.
Exactly. And the more you dive into photography, the more you realize how much there is to learn. It's like, every time you think you've figured something out, there's a whole other layer to explore.
Huh. It's a great way to put it. And I think that's why it's so engaging. There's always a new challenge, something to push you creatively.
Definitely. So for someone just starting out, what advice would you give them? What are the key things to remember?
Good question. What do you think?
I'd say don't be scared to experiment. Photography is about finding what works for you, your own style, your vision. Try new things. Break the rules sometimes. See what happens. You might surprise yourself.
Yeah, that's such good advice. It's easy to get caught up in doing things the right way, but often the coolest photos come from, going off the beaten path a bit.
Exactly. And it's okay to mess up, to make mistakes. That's how we learn. Every photo, even the ones that don't turn out how you wanted, they teach you something.
It's like you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Embrace those mistakes. They're stepping stones. Oh, and another thing, find photographers you admire and really study their work. Look at their photos, see how they compose things, try to understand why their pictures are so good.
That's a great tip. There's so much amazing photography out there, pros and up-and-coming artists. Seeing their work can give you new ideas, make you see the world differently.
Totally. And don't be afraid to connect with other photographers, online or in person. Join groups, go to workshops, strike up conversations. Photographers are usually super welcoming and supportive.
It's like this giant global family of visual storytellers, all sharing their passion.
And at the end of the day, remember to have fun. If you're not enjoying it, it'll show in your photos. So relax, experiment, and let your creativity flow.
Great reminder. Photography should bring you joy. Well, I think we've covered a lot today, from basic tips to experimenting, finding inspiration, and being part of the photography community.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
The world's full of beauty, just waiting to be photographed. All you need is a camera, an open mind, and that willingness to see things from a different angle.
That's beautiful and so true. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Don't forget to subscribe and like this episode.
And until next time, keep exploring and keep shooting.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive into practical English for everyday life.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something that can be a little stressful for some folks.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're still learning English.
Right.
Ordering food with allergies. So picture this, you're at a restaurant, you're excited to order,
Yeah.
but you have to make sure you communicate your allergies clearly and safely.
It's so important.
We're going to give you the words and phrases you need so you can order with confidence.
Yeah, just a few key phrases can make all the difference.
Exactly. Now, to get us started, we have a great example dialogue.
Okay.
We've got Alex and Ella here to act it out for us. Alex is going to be our server, and Ella will be Linda, our customer, with food allergies.
Awesome.
Ready, guys?
Hi, Alex.
Hi, I'm Ella.
Take it away.
Are you ready to order?
Yes, but I need to mention my food allergies first.
Of course we take allergies very seriously.
Mhm.
What should we avoid?
I'm severely allergic to shellfish and nuts.
I'll check with the kitchen about cross-contamination.
Thank you. Can you recommend any safe options?
The grilled chicken is prepared separately from all allergens.
Perfect. I'll have that with the side salad. No nuts, please.
That was great.
Yeah, they made that look easy.
See how smoothly that went? They
Mhm.
communicated clearly and respectfully.
And it sounded so natural, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
What stood out to you in that conversation?
Well, I think the way Linda, played by Ella, brought up her allergies right away was really smart. You know that phrase, I need to mention my food allergies first?
Yeah.
That's a great way to let the server know this is important.
It sets the tone for the whole interaction.
Exactly.
And I loved how Alex, the server, responded. Of course, we take allergies very seriously.
It's reassuring, isn't it?
Right. Makes you feel like you're in good hands.
Absolutely.
So let's break down some key phrases from this dialogue, because you can use these directly when you're at a restaurant.
Okay, great idea.
Linda started by saying, I need to mention my food allergies first. Can you repeat that, Day?
I need to mention my food allergies first.
Perfect. Easy, right?
Yeah, totally.
This lets the server know what's up right away.
Right from the start.
And then Linda specified her allergies.
Yes.
She said, I'm severely allergic to shellfish and nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where you'd plug in your own allergies.
Right.
You can say, I'm allergic to, and then list your specific allergens.
Exactly, like I'm allergic to peanuts or I'm allergic to dairy.
Exactly. And if your allergies are very serious, like Linda's, you can add the word severely.
Yeah, it emphasizes how important it is to avoid those ingredients.
So the whole sentence is, I'm severely allergic to.
Yeah.
And then you say your allergies.
Got it.
Practice it a few times so you're comfortable saying it.
Repetition is key.
Okay. Now, there was another really useful phrase in that dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when Linda asked, can you recommend any safe options?
Yes. That's such a good one.
This shows you're being proactive and looking for solutions.
And it gives the server a chance to help you find something you'll enjoy.
Exactly. So let's repeat this phrase together. Can you recommend any safe options?
Can you recommend any safe options?
See? It's not so hard to say,
Nope.
and it can make a big difference in your dining experience.
For sure. Now let's talk about the server's response.
Oh yeah, that's crucial too.
Remember Alex said, the grilled chicken is prepared separately from all allergens.
Uh-huh.
That's the kind of detailed information you want to hear.
Absolutely. It shows they are taking your allergies seriously.
Yes, and that they've taken steps to prevent cross-contamination.
Now, speaking of cross-contamination, we heard that term in the dialogue.
Right.
It's when food comes into contact with something you're allergic to, even if it's just a tiny bit.
And that can be a big problem for some people.
It's important to understand this concept,
Absolute.
and we'll talk more about it in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah, cross-contamination, it's something to be really aware of.
Right, even a small amount of an allergen can be a problem.
Exactly. And sometimes the allergen might not even be in the ingredients themselves.
Oh, you mean like it could be in the way the food is prepared?
Yeah, like if they use the same cutting board for different foods.
Oh, I see. So how do we ask about that? What are some good phrases?
Well, you can be specific like, is this dish prepared on equipment that also touches? And then you say your allergen.
So like, is this dish prepared on equipment that also touches peanuts?
Exactly. Or you could say, are there separate utensils used for handling?
Are there separate utensils used for handling shellfish?
Perfect. See? Easy peasy.
I like those. They're very clear.
Right. It helps the server understand exactly what you need.
Okay, so those phrases are great for when you know what's in the dish.
Uh-huh.
But what if the menu description is kind of vague?
Ah, good point.
What do you do then?
Don't be shy. Just ask for more information.
So, like, could you tell me more about how this dish is prepared?
Yeah, or what are the main ingredients in this dish?
Simple and straightforward.
Right. It's always better to ask than to risk having a reaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And is it okay to mention your allergies again when the food arrives?
Oh, definitely. You can just say something like, just to double check, this dish doesn't contain any shellfish, right?
I like that. It never hurts to be extra cautious.
Exactly. It's all about being assertive and advocating for your own safety.
Okay, so we've been talking about restaurants with menus.
Right.
But what about other situations? Like, what if you're at a buffet or a potluck?
Oh, those can be a bit trickier.
Yeah, because you don't always have a server to ask about every single dish.
Right. But there are still things you can do. The most important thing is to let the hosts know about your allergies in advance.
That's a good idea. Gives them a heads up.
Yeah, they can be mindful of cross-contamination and maybe even label dishes clearly.
I like that.
And if you're still not sure about a dish, it's okay to politely decline and choose something else. Or you could even bring your own dish to share.
That's a great tip. Now, what about traveling to a country where you don't speak the language?
Oh, that's a good one.
How do you communicate your allergies then?
Well, some pre-trip preparation can really help.
Like what?
Before you go, learn a few key phrases in the local language related to food allergies.
So, like, I'm allergic to, and what are the ingredients?
Exactly. Even just a few basic phrases can make a big difference.
And if you're really worried, you can write down your allergies in the local language.
Oh, that's smart. And there are even apps that can do that for you.
Really?
Yeah, they translate your allergies into multiple languages and create digital allergy cards.
Wow, technology is amazing.
Right. It can be a lifesaver for travelers with allergies.
So we've covered a lot here.
We have.
From specific phrases to tips for different situations.
The key is to be prepared. Be assertive and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Excellent advice.
With a little practice and the right strategies, you can confidently enjoy delicious meals wherever you go.
Okay, so we've talked about phrases and tips for different situations. But are there any other tools or resources that can help people with allergies?
Yeah, definitely. Technology's come a long way. Well, there are some really cool apps specifically for food allergies.
Oh, I love apps. What do they do?
So imagine you're in a new city,
Okay.
you're hungry, and you need to find a restaurant.
Yeah.
These apps let you search for restaurants based on your allergies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you could just like filter by nut-free or whatever.
Exactly. You can even filter by cuisine type or location.
Wow. That would be so helpful when traveling.
Right. And some apps can even scan menus for you.
Really?
Yeah, so you can quickly see which dishes are safe.
That's incredible. What else can they do?
Well, a lot of them have translation cards in different languages.
Oh, that's smart.
So if you're in a country where you don't speak the language, you can just show the card to your server.
That would have been a lifesaver for me that time I was in France trying to explain my nut allergy.
I bet. It's like having a personal allergy translator in your pocket.
Seriously. So apps are definitely a great resource.
Mm-hmm. But don't forget about good old-fashioned research, too.
You mean like looking things up online?
Yeah, a lot of restaurants post their menus online now, and some even highlight allergy-friendly options.
Oh, that's a good tip. I'll have to check that out next time.
And if you can't find the information online, you can always call the restaurant.
Right, and ask to speak to a manager or chef.
Exactly. They can usually answer your questions about ingredients and preparation.
Okay, so we've talked about apps and doing some research.
Uh-huh.
But is there anything else people can do to feel more prepared?
You know, connecting with other people with allergies can be really helpful.
Oh, yeah, like support groups or online forums.
Exactly. They can share tips and recommendations.
And just knowing you're not alone can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's a great way to feel more empowered.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of food allergies,
Yes.
what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is to be proactive.
Like we've been saying.
Yeah. Do your research, ask questions, advocate for yourself.
And don't be afraid to use all the resources available.
Exactly. There's so much information out there.
Right. Technology, support groups, helpful websites.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to let food allergies stop you from enjoying delicious meals.
That's a great message. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, and give us a like.
And until next time, happy and safe dining, everyone.
See ya!
Thanks for joining the conversation here at Kaz English. We hope you found it fun and informative. Don't forget to check out kazapp.uk. That's kazapp.uk for more tips, resources, and interactive practice. Keep exploring, keep chatting, and we'll catch up with you again soon.